Hello, this is David Baumblatt from Terabit Leadership. Today's episode, we are going to be talking about yet again the fall of the American Empire, and we're going to be relating that to how the Roman Empire fell. Now, there's many facets that we're going to be looking at, but a couple of them that are going to really focus on is one, the military campaign, this whole military adventures of Rome, which was part of the downfall. Also, what we're all going to be talking about, because I mentioned again that we're going to be talking about this Eileen Gu and this Alicia Liu. These were the Chinese Americans, Olympic speed skaters or whatever, Olympic athletes. I really could care less about these people. They should have never got American citizenship to begin with, but it relates to the Roman Empire. Why? Identity. The Romans were losing their identity. The point is what did it mean to be a Roman citizen was becoming more and more diluted. That's exactly what's happening in America. I've said many times, we don't know what an American is anymore. And so this relates to it. What I do want to know is there's a viewer, you'll know your name. I apologize. He wrote me an email. I'm forgetting the name. But anyway, he's a former military veteran. Everyone knows me. I definitely supported military veterans before. Now it depends, but I always say, thank you for your service, whatever. Thank him. Nice guy. He wrote me a comment. I believe, if I remember correctly, you're some type of mixed ethnicity. And the question posed to me, and I said I was going to answer that is, you've probably heard this question before. What is white? It's usually the only question that's posed to white people. It's never really posed to other people. And this also relates to today's episode in terms of what is a Roman citizen? What's an American citizen? So the question from the viewer was again, they said, hey, David, you talk about white identity, you talk about white politics, white nationalism. How do you know what's white? Interesting. We're going to answer that simple right now, but there'll be another video that I'll do on. And I've said many times the same thing with the fall of the Roman Empire. Right now, what would be my basis of saying you're an American? You're pro-Christian. You don't have to be a Christian, but you have to support a pro-Christian state called America. 2, European. You don't have to be European, but you have to support that America is a European country run by Europeans. Just like me, I am okay living in China. Well, it's not like I prefer to live in China. I'm in Hong Kong. But anyway, I'm okay that China belongs to the Chinese man and the Chinese man runs China. So if you're a non-European living in America, that's fine. But you have to say, this is a European country. You need to support that this is a European-led country. And then freedom of speech. So going back to the question again, because we got a lot of videos to go through. What does it mean to be white? Well, again, what does it mean to be Chinese Indian? 3 questions. This is Psychology 101. 3 questions. And if these 3 questions are answered in the positive manner, then it is a healthy status for you, for the environment around you, and for the country. The question number 1 is, you tell me what you are. Are you white? Some people, I don't know. I'm asking you, are you white? Are you black? Are you Chinese? And we're talking about ethnicity here. You tell me what your ethnicity is. That's the first question. And if you say, well, my ethnicity, we're going to assume we're going to talk about white ethnicity here, but this thing could be for any ethnicity. So we're going to assume you're going to say, I am white. Okay, so it's a yes, meaning, are you white? Yes, I'm white. Okay, so you affirm that you are white. Now, we understand people are mixed. Some people are more than others, but it's possible you're literally 50-50. You're like, well, I'm 50% white, I'm 50% black. I mean, I don't know. Usually with mixed races, though, there's a dominant feature. For instance, with these, like a lot of these Asian mixed kids, they look Asian to me. So anyway, now we go on to question number 2. What do other people think you are? And this could go on for anything in terms of, look at gender. You could say you're a man or you could say you're a woman, but you don't look like it. You could say you're a unicorn. I mean, you could say, again, question number 1, I'm a unicorn. Okay, you're a unicorn. We don't think so. So again, going back to the same thing, you say you're white. Okay. Do other people say you're white? I'm not saying 100%, but the majority. So for instance, my life, I've always identified as white European. I don't think there's ever been a time in my life where people don't identify me. Yes, I'm part Jewish, and some people say, well, you're a Jew, you're not European. We could go into that later. But generally speaking, I've never had an issue. So I say I'm white, people accept me for I'm white. That's question number 2. So 2 positive. Final question. Are you proud of that? And if you're proud, that means you're proud to support. Are you proud to be white? If you're proud to be white, then you shouldn't want to lose it. It's the same thing. when I look at a lot of these American citizens, to include MAGA folk, a lot of fake MAGA people too out there, they don't understand the concept of nationalism. If you're going to be a proud American, you should be proud of our founding fathers. Our founding fathers would not agree with a lot of this that we're doing today. Women wouldn't deserve the right to vote. America is for the white man. I mean, these are the principles. So the point is the three questions go hand in hand. And if they're all answered in a positive manner, then you have a healthy psyche. The point is it's like people pretending they're one thing, but they're not, or I see this a lot. And again, because I'm in China, I see so much the white man, the Asian woman, the mixed kid. That's the predominant one. And a lot of these Asian kids will say, I'm white. Well, I don't think so. So we'll see. So again, question number one is, what are you? You answer the question. Question number two is, what do basically most people think you are? Do they agree with you? And three, are you proud of that? A lot of people aren't proud. And I'm telling you, a lot of these mixed race kids, they're not proud that they're black or Asian. They're very proud that they're white. I could go into it so much. That's not very healthy because, sorry, at the end of the day, if you're mixed and some people think you're Asian or you're black and you're not proud to be black or Asian, we have a problem. So for me, it's been kind of pretty simple my whole life. I've always identified as white. Pretty much. I've always, other people have always identified me as white, and I've always been proud. Now, I haven't been as proud of being white before and after coming to China. Before coming to China, I think I was just normal. Like, are you proud to be white? I'm like, I guess so. Now, I was typical American. I mean, I'd say I was proud, but I didn't think about it. After living in China as a racial minority and realizing what's happened to white people, I become very proud of it now. So again, those are the three questions. Hopefully that answers it. Let's move on. So let's go on to, we're going to do some news in X, and then we'll get into the Roman issue. So first is, let's just do some news here. And I think I forgot I was going to say something. So let's just do a quick news here about Christopher. I don't know if you guys know this guy, Christopher Wray. He's the deputy director for the FBI. So that's basically, hopefully I'm showing that screen here. He's the number 2 in the FBI. It's a big deal. This guy's a former Coast Guard guy. So I just wrote him, but it was like, I hope everyone can see that, but this is so pathetic again about the FBI. And it shows again about the fall of the Roman Empire. And when I've talked about this, these people in our government are not doing their work for duty on our country. They're literally, it's a paycheck and a pension. And when I left the FBI, I was never going to be negative about it. I wrote my letter to Senator Chuck Grassley. The letter was negative. That's true. But he's a senator and it was a whistleblower letter. After that, though, I've kept my mouth shut. It's just not worth it until I got on social media that the truth has to come out. But look at this guy. He knows about me. I mean, what a little boy. I don't think people understand that these people working in our government, they're like overgrown children. They just want that easy paycheck and easy pension. I'd say that nothing is really going to fix this empire until it falls, meaning where citizens refuse to pay tax money, because at the end of the day, nothing's going to change in the FBI. In fact, let's just use common sense, then we'll get back to that. But think about it. Before Trump was president, the FBI was corrupt. Now he's president, Kash Patel, it's fixed. Wow, great job. We'll see on that. Let's go to another one here about, we're just going to go through some X's here. X stuff, and then we will go 1 second. Okay, so what I wanted to do too, what I think is pretty interesting is, I don't know if you guys are following me on TikTok. Let me bring this down on TikTok, but I should tell this story really quick that happened. So when I first went on social media 2 years ago, I posted that major episode 1 video. Everyone should have seen it now. No, it's the episode 1. And that didn't make any traction on YouTube. It was censored. That was why. The story. I got the evidence. But it blew up on TikTok. I mean, blew up. It was like over 100,000. And then all of a sudden, and I was at subscriber level and everything. Shane says modern government employees equivalent. Yeah, so we're going to get into, I wanted to mention that, Shane. I want to mention that. When we talk about Roman, what did I keep saying? Because it's interesting. There's a video about the Roman. What do I keep saying about people in the government? They're doing it for a paycheck and a pension. And let me focus on this. I view many times that just like MAGA makes fun of liberals, I can make fun of MAGA too. I'm going to give you an example. Then we got to get into this video about the TikTok and stuff. But how many times have you seen MAGA? And MAGA is correct on this, where they would look at a liberal that says, I'm for illegal immigrants. And then MAGA will put a microphone to their face and say, hey, would you like to house illegal immigrants in your house? And they'll be like, meaning it shows how fake they are. Totally agree. This would be MAGA. I support military veterans. I support military veterans. I don't know, this guy David Baumblatt, he's asking you to repost. No, I don't want to do it. Like, why? Why are you so fake? Or it's the same thing, like I said, you see MAGA making the liberals look so stupid, how they can't answer simple questions about gender. But you ask that question to MAGA about race, they also act very stupid. Oh, it doesn't matter. You know, we're all people. We're all red, white, and blue. No, we're not. That's so stupid. It's just, so again, one thing, so let me go back on TikTok really quick, because this goes into race. So my TikTok blew up. And all of a sudden, I've been suspended on TikTok. I think I'm on my fourth account. And I just got a warning today because I posted this video I'm about to show you. But two videos that when I was on TikTok that started getting me kicked out, they happened to be in Europe. One was a video about Germany, and one was a video about the UK. So this video I'm going to show you has been taken down off my TikTok page. I just posted it yesterday. And they were both about immigration. So when I had my TikTok account before, I remember that. Once I started, especially Europe is even worse than America in terms of free speech. But I remember, this would have been 2023, I posted a video on TikTok about the UK immigration and Germany immigration. Basically negative. Boom. Major warning, strikes. So again, you have to wonder what's going on. It goes back to what we're talking about, the Roman Empire. But let's just see what this video that I posted here. So the good thing, it's still on X. And let's just watch this video and then you'll see.
The UK is never going to be white again. It's just not going to happen. People can wish it, but it's not realistic. Similarly, our parents who have left Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iraq, Somalia, Muslim countries, for them to think that they can reestablish those countries and the lives that they had there over here, it's not going to happen. And I recognize the fact that that's a big loss for both people, for both sides. But the reality is that we have to move forward. The reality is that we're together going to have to find out, what does it mean to be British moving forward? What does it mean to build a society that includes all of us, where it means looking like me and looking like you?
Did you ever watch?
Does that not sound like communism to you? Let me see if everyone can see me. Does that not sound, so this is what I wrote. You notice they keep using we. In America, they use the same thing, we. Who exactly is we? Because, and why is it only in the Western countries that you could be any type of ethnicity and claim that you're an American, you're a German, you're a French, you're a British? You can't do that the other way around. I mean, would any of these white liberals, or even MAGA people feel like race doesn't exist? Would any of them take me as a Chinese person? Would they? And would the Chinese accept me? No. So anyway, these are the videos I remember. So this video was banned today on my TikTok account. It's deleted. But I remember I had a huge TikTok account, and what was getting banned is when I started posting, particularly in Europe, stuff about Europe. If you remember what's happening now, immigration and stuff. So we're going to talk about this topic too, which again goes to the Roman Empire. And this is about we have a very strange relationship with Israel, and about, again, like the Roman empires. But anyway, let's just watch this quick here.
Does the Bible tell Christians that they have to support Israel? If you're going to have a theology about it, shouldn't you know where it is in the Bible? Shouldn't you be fluent in it? No, because it's all fake. It doesn't mean anything. But he says it anyway, and this topic actually matters. So to talk like that, the Bible is crystal clear on Israel. What is Israel as defined by the Bible? But in 2025, what exactly does that correspond to? Is it the modern secular nation state of Israel, the drag queen story hour in Tel Aviv state of Israel? And what borders? Does that include the West Bank, Judea and Samaria? Does that include Gaza? Does that go all the way to Iraq? I mean, like, what are we talking about?
Do you agree with Tucker?
So we're going to talk about, because again, it goes in the Roman Empire, but there was a part about Tucker when he was having his interview with, what was it, Huckabee, the U.S. ambassador. Huckabee, I think, is a traitor. Anyway, Tucker said, and I predicted this, if you remember my other video, Tucker mentioned now he doesn't care. He's getting too old and he wants the truth out. And I said, there's two reasons why I think Tucker has changed. One is he's become more educated. Just like me living in China, I have become more educated. But I think two reasons. One, Tucker is filthy rich. He doesn't need money anymore. But I also believe that when you become an older person and you believe your life is on the downside, especially me, I'm 50 years old, you come to the point that says, why am I going to have to stop telling the truth, at least what I perceive, because I'm afraid? It's like we're tired of it. And that's what I think. And Tucker said that. But Tucker's pretty interesting right now. You could see. So what I want to do is we are going to do a little snippet on these two ice skaters. And the reason I'm doing this is because the mainstream media, and I'm talking about MAGA, the MAGA mainstream media, this would be Fox News, they're talking out their asshole. They're lying to the American public. Now, I'm going to show you there's two athletes, because again, it goes back to the Roman Empire. Identity. Who are we? My solution to both of these mixed race Asian girls is I just wouldn't give them American citizenship. In fact, I wouldn't necessarily deport them. You can. I'm not going to argue with it, but they should not get an American citizenship. But what the MAGA is trying to do is they're trying to do this Eileen Gu. I call her Eileen Gook. And they're trying to say she's a traitor and she needs to be deported to China. I'm not going to argue with that. Sounds like a good idea. But again, this is the MAGA. They're always saying traitor, traitor, traitor. I don't view Eileen Gook as a traitor. I view the government, the Fox News as traitors, our politicians. But what they're doing, and they're lying to you because they don't know this. Again, very few people know as much about China as me. Give it time. My videos are going to age like fine wine. So there's this girl named Elisa Liu. She's an American-born Chinese, same thing mixed. And she represented America, and she's like, look at her. She's a hero. No, she's not. The first thing is we're going to do her story, but I'm telling you, there's a major lie that's happening. And the lie is that the Chinese government offered her money just like they offered Eileen Gook money to represent China. That's a lie. If there's any proof, you show me. And in fact, I Googled even on Grok. Grok is turning out to be a source, but even Grok said there's no records. And I knew, as soon as I heard that, I knew there's a lie, because there's another point to that story that I know China would never happen. So what am I saying? What I'm saying is, first, watch this story about her father. Something's very weird about it. But two, she was never offered money by the Chinese government. If she did, she'd go for China. I know she would have. There's a reason. Once you see this video, you should immediately sort of understand why the Chinese government was not going to give them money. But there's something about this father, what happened, that this is not an American story. They want to portray this as this is not me at all. I would not give any of these people American citizenships. But let me bring this up now to you so you can kind of see this story, but it's very weird. Let me see this 1 second. Let me share. All right, let me go to this story right here. Let me make sure I'm okay. Hopefully everyone can see that. Let me get here. Share this 1 second. My bad. Share this. Okay, this is the good. So I wrote Michael Luca here, not like I see he reads me, but look at Michael Ellis, and what does he say? Let me make sure everyone can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so this is what we're talking about. So he says this. So this is the girl Elisa Liu's story. Couldn't be more different. Meaning he's comparing her to Eileen Gook, and he's like, Eileen Gook is bad, but Elisa Liu, she's great. She's exactly what America's all about. No, she's not. She's the daughter of a Chinese refugee who fled Tiananmen Square massacre to live. Liu also was recruited by Beijing, but she didn't have a price on her integrity. Look at this guy, Michael. I've written Michael now. This is the fake stuff. Michael doesn't have many followers. I mean, I had more followers before I got canned on it. So he probably got my message. And I said, hey, Michael, if you're such a MAGA patriot, can you please repost my message on government corruption, why I'm not welcome? Michael hasn't gotten back to me. Let's see. we're going to show you this story of this weird story of her father and stuff. And I'm telling you, there's something is very wrong on this. I'm going to explain this, but let's watch this story first.
It's his father who was the engine of ambition.
He was really in your business when you were younger.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was basically his.
So if everyone knows, she's mixed. Obviously, she's mixed. And yes, she looks down upon Chinese people just like Ellen Goop does. And she loves to be white. These mixed kids are some of the most racist people I know. They love to be white. And if you don't say they're white, they get extremely angry. They don't want to be Asian. They want to be white.
Business. It wasn't even really mine.
Arthur Liu had no skating background. In his native China, he had organized demonstrations during the time of the Tiananmen Square protests and was forced to flee.
Okay, we have to stop it right here. It's going to get more weird, but I need to stop it and talk right here. The topic of Tiananmen Square. Now, we're not going to say whether it's good or not. I really don't care. It's whatever happened in China, but I'm just doing the fact. Tiananmen Square is amazingly sensitive topic in China to this day. He fled China because he was in part of Tiananmen Square. Guess what? The Chinese government's not going to offer him and his daughter any money. This is where I like the Chinese government more than America. America will do anything for money. We don't care. We will do anything for money. Same thing like the Japanese. They're willing to take an economic hit on their country, but they don't want immigrants. We don't care. I mean, we'll commit white genocide in America if it would help the corporations. In China, they will put principles. Now, whether we agree with these principles or not is different, but they have principles that will go above money. And one of those principles is that Tiananmen Square. They look at that as national security. They look upon that as an absolute attack. You're telling me the Chinese government is going to then say, yeah, whatever, we forgive you. We want your – they won't. Unless there's evidence. If there's evidence about this, I will admit I'm wrong and we can move on. But I'm telling you, no way. And I Googled Grok on this because as soon as I found out that this guy fled China because of Tiananmen Square, I said, there's no fucking way the Chinese government is going to come and say, hey, we're willing to give you money for your daughter. It won't happen. There's no evidence on the internet. If there is, I'd like to see it. That's a complete lie. It's a complete lie. But watch his story. Something is very, very strange. And I don't find, well, it's not strange. I know about this from China now, but it's not American. This is not one of our people here.
He came to America with nothing. Arthur built.
Okay, I want to hear that. He came to America with nothing. Yeah, right. Tiananmen Square, our U.S. government paid for that. He was part of an intelligence operation because he got refugee status. So just remember, I want to emphasize this part. He came to America with nothing. Now, you're a white American. You got nothing in America. You don't even have kids. You're lucky that you have a house. This guy comes from China. He's a Chinese person. He's a foreigner. I don't give a fuck what happened in Tiananmen Square. That's their problem. Same thing with Taiwan. They're saying he came here with nothing. Let's see how well he did with nothing. And we're going to say, oh, it's just hard work. Ain't happening. Something strange.
Law practice and a family in the Bay Area.
Okay, so first of all, he went to law school and he opened up a law practice. That takes a lot of money. Now I want to look. He has 5 children, and he had all 5 children. Let me make sure we get on here. He had all 5 children. You're going to see it from surrogates. And what type of woman did he pick? White women. And what have I always said? It's not just Asian women wanting white men. You know, there was another comment. Some guy said, hey, David, I think you're overboard with Asian women wanting white men. Okay, it's not 99%. It's 98% of Asian women dying to be with white men. Don't fool yourself. It's Asian men too. The problem is white women generally don't find Asian men attractive. I've said this before. Black women and Asian men, don't shoot the messenger. It just is what it is. Shoot yourself because if you disagree with it because you don't like it. But Asian men and black women are the least attractive people. It just is what it is. I know it sounds very sensitive and impolite, but those are the facts. So Asian men want white women. They can't get them. So what did he do? He paid for aid donors. and the surrogates. So all of his kids are mixed kids. I find it creepy and sick. This is not who I am. And just to show you, in China, the sperm banks in China don't allow white men or foreign men to give sperm in China. It'd be only white men, because Asian women don't want black sperm. They don't want Indian sperm. If white men were allowed to donate sperm in Chinese clinics, it would be off the shelf in terms of demand. Myself in China, I have been offered so much money through the years here for my sperm to impregnate Chinese women. That's how much. I've never done it. Why? Because I'm not into having mixed kids. I still believe if you're a man and you bring kids into this world, whether you bring it from a traditional way or maybe you're a sperm donor, you should still have pride in those kids. I'm just not. I never. When I moved to China, it had nothing to do with Asian women. I looked at China more as the Chinese country, the Chinese people, and the Chinese government as a growing power. And I knew America did not understand this. The CIA was fucking morons about this. The FBI was morons about this. The State Department, the American military. I mean, we have morons. That's what I went there. Have I had sex with Chinese women? Sure, had sex. Have I ever impregnated one? Never. Have I been offered multiple times significant amount of money for my sperm to impregnate Chinese women? Absolutely. Did I refuse? Absolutely. It's not in me. But I see these mixed. I don't think people understand. It's just like the Roman Empire. These mixed kids, it is a problem. And if you think I'm wrong and you think these kids are proud to be Chinese, give them a Chinese passport then and tell them to live in China. They would be crying and saying, I don't want to live with ugly chink gooks. That's not me talking. That's these mixed kids. They're like, I'm white and I want to live with white people. So if you think I'm coming off as racism, you have no clue what Asia is. So going back to this man, it's already very strange. One, they're saying the MAGA media, first of all, the MAGA media is just loving this guy. They're just like, we love this guy. We want to support. And here I am, a military veteran, saying, hi, MAGA, hi, Fox News. I'm a military veteran. Can you help support me by pressing repost? Because I've fucked you, David. We got no time for you. But man, they love Elisa Leo and her family. Love them. Okay, that's strange. One, he was a refugee from Tiananmen Square. The Chinese government's not offering any money. I don't know where they're getting these records that she was offered money from the Chinese government. If there is, let me see it, and I will admit I'm wrong. It doesn't make sense. Three, they're saying this guy came to America with nothing, and then he goes to law school, opens up a practice. Do you know how expensive it is to have 5 children via surrogates? It's at least $100,000 minimum to have one surrogate. He's got 5 kids, and he chose white women too. And it's just very weird. And if you think this is a good example of America, and these are, meaning you don't want to support a guy like me, but Elisa Leo and her father, they're the real Americans. This country's going down, and it's about the Roman Empire. Let's keep going, though, on this story.
Single dad, he had 5 kids with the help of surrogates. Alyssa was.
Look at all those kids. Why? Because even this chinky guy with his little dick, he loves white women. It's disgusting. I could tell you stories about it. I'm not into this at all. And also, you know what this is too? And by the way, I have conversations like this with my Chinese friends, even with the honky conkies. Oh, you'd be surprised they know it. Guess what it also is? It's an affront to Asian women, because he doesn't think the DNA of Asian women are that good. Same thing with Asian women. It's the same thing when you see these black guys chasing white women. If you're a black man and you're chasing white women, guess what it means? You don't respect your black mother. You don't respect your black mother, and you look upon your black people as low DNA. It's an affront. I don't want to skip around. No, I'll do a save for another. It's an interesting point, but either way is, meaning it usually doesn't happen with white people. White people, white men like white women like white men. Why? Because we like who we are, which is normal, has nothing to do with racism. But when you see these other people, it's actually a major insult, with Asian girls preferring white men or Asian men preferring white girls. It's actually a slap in the face to their own Asian mothers or fathers. But it is so common that if you think that this is offered, you don't understand Asian culture at all. Let's keep going on this.
His oldest child, and her figure skating career became his second full-time job.
I took her everywhere. I took her to Japan to learn from the top coaches there. I took her to Canada.
How much do you think you spent to help her become the figure skater that she is?
I would say $500,000 to.
So remember, this is a guy who was a refugee and he came to America with nothing. Interesting. Boy, he looks like America has a, so this would be the guy who's calling me racist. Like he'll probably call me racist. Look what America has done with him.
$1 million.
Arthur.
I spared no money, no time. Just
Why?
I just saw the talent.
With so much at stake, Arthur began cycling and recycling through coaches. How many times did he fire you?
Me once. I think 3 times.
3 times.
Once in person, 2 via text, I think. Yeah.
Let's keep going on this story here. 1 second. We're going to come here. So this is Kevin Sorbo. He's like, hey, American communists. Yeah, interesting. Who's exactly an American communist, Sorbo? Kevin would probably say he's an American communist because, again, according to Kevin, race is not real. I say again, let me go to the MAGA people here. Not like I know this guy Kevin, but Kevin, let me educate you because, again, I am a military veteran. Why didn't you serve in the military, Kevin? Because you don't give a shit. You want to be an actor. So let me educate you on leadership. If you believe that any racial person can come to America and as long as they pay their taxes, they salute the flag, they're a good American, you're a communist. That's a basis on communism right there. But let's go back to what Kevin is saying here so that we get it. So because it's interesting. He's like, hey, communist. Now this guy, Jack, I don't know if you could see here, Jack, I've highlighted this. Jack has blocked me on Twitter. I don't know if you know Jack. He's a former naval intelligence officer. Not like the naval intelligence officer people are that smart. Most of the people working in the government are not very smart people. They couldn't make it in the private sector, so they work in the government. That's Jack. So this is what Jack said. Why he blocked me? I don't know. Another good example of American military veterans supporting other military veterans. So thanks for your support, Jack, you little faggot. What does Jack say? Jack said she refused to skate for the CCP after they persecuted her father. What do you mean she refused to skate for the CCP? How do you even know she had an option to? And she's now a gold medalist for the team. So here we have a guy named Kevin who talks about American communists. Again, if you believe that basically anyone in any that's not what our founding fathers wanted. Our founding fathers said white men were American citizens. So I guess Kevin thinks everyone can be it. So you're actually a communist, Kevin. And Jack here, who's the naval intelligence officer, who's about as fucking smart as a block of bricks. I mean, this is why our military is not that hyped up. He says she refused to skate for the CCP. Oh, I'm sure Jack has got all this intelligence on China. Keep it up, Jack. Let's go with another one on this because, again, it's pretty important. Now we go to the Right Angle News, and they're going leftists are absolutely seething. Notice this is about leftists. No, I'm a right person. I don't believe this girl, Lisa Leo. Notice how she paints her hair blonde here. Notice how much she wants to be blonde hair. Same thing. She'd love to have blue eyes too. Now she's got, and this is a representation of America. This is part of the Roman Empire. I want to emphasize this now once we get to the video, but this was one of the reasons the fall of the Roman Empire. They started losing what it meant to be a Roman citizen. And I wrote this in my book. This is leadership. Who is an American? Who? The best way I could start is a basis is faith, family, freedom, Christianity, European freedom of speech. I mean, that's at least a baseline, but we can't even say that anymore. But once we start, and we've lost the concept of an American citizen. Probably 50 years ago, it started. I'd say about 50 years ago, it started. Who? And people think now, so MAGA. So if you're MAGA, you're like, dude, I am all about Elisa Leo, man. She's exactly what America's all about. No, totally. We're not on the same sheet of music. Totally not. Her father, something very off with that. Let me go through this really quick here. Let's go through one more. Now, what's interesting here is, remember I said about race? This guy, Carl, I want to emphasize this. Race, especially when you're Chinese, not when you're white, because white people don't recognize race. That's why white people are retarded. Don't fool yourself. These other ethnic groups, race is real. Race is primary. Let's see what this guy Carl John. I don't know if you guys following Carl John. Let me light this up for you here. I don't know if you could see this, Carl. He's like a China expert, the China guy. So he's like pitting Elisa Liu and Ellen Gu is stupid. He's like saying, hey, they're both good. You want to know why? Because they're both Chinese. They're both Chinese. So this is Ellen. This is hopefully everyone can see it. So Ellen Gu is to the left of the screen with her mom, her Chinese mom, and Elisa Liu. So they grew up together in California here. And so there's the father and the mother and the two mixed kids. This is when they're young. And look, it says the Northern California Chinese Cultural Athletic Federation. Would you as a white person be welcome there? Of course, on paper, they'd say, of course, we welcome all ethnicities because they don't want to have a lawsuit. You're not welcome. You have to be Chinese there. And so that's why these mixed kids will go for me, even though Ellen Gook, she prefers to be white, but for the money, she'll go to China. The same thing with Ellen Liu. But this is the picture of America. Like this would be MAGA. Of course, MAGA doesn't want this girl, Eileen Gook, but she thinks this girl, Liu, this is America here. This is America. He's like, this is the mom, this is the dad. Hey. Oh, give her a hug your baba. Yeah, yeah. She's like, look, give a little news about your daughter. Your daughter's so performance oriented. Can you say a little bit? What I want to do is look at if you're MAGA and you think this is just dandy, what we're looking at here, this is America, you're a fucking retard. Let me go through this video really quickly. Isn't it great? Yeah. Now they're doing songs. Yeah, isn't that just dandy? Let me do one last one, go to you. But I say again, if you're MAGA and you think that's just dandy, that's American, then how much? How much diversity we want? Like how low does the white population need to go until you wake up and say maybe that? If you look at that and say, I disagree with you, David, stop being a racist. I think it's great. As long as they pay their taxes and salute the American flag and abide by our law, it's just dandy. Okay, then I guess the more the better then, right? So how far do we go in America until we realize there's no more white people? No. Now in China, I don't mind that. Why? It's China. I believe China belongs to the Chinese people. Totally different story. What belongs to the white people though? I want you to ask that question. If China belongs to the Chinese, if India belongs to the Indians, and so on, what belongs to the white people? To the Jews, we could say Israel, and we're going to talk about the Jews, and I don't mind that. I have actually a very, in some ways you could say an in-the-middle view of Israel and the Jews, but the Jews have a homeland. Where's the homeland for white people? Because if you're MAGA and you think this is just great, well, then I guess more is even better. How far do we go until we realize, or are you like Kevin Sorbo, who calls us American communists? I don't know, Kevin. I think you're an American communist because if you think race doesn't exist and you think it's just great, as long as you salute the flag and pay your taxes, you're an American. No, you're a communist, Kevin. Someone who's never served in the military. And I've written you a couple times too, asking you for your support. I guess you just never saw my message though. Okay, let's do one final video on this from X. Then we're going to wrap it up and we're going to get to the Roman issue. But let me do one more thing right here. 1 second. Last one. I think the reason I'm showing this is, this is again about Fox News, man. These people are so retarded. This is like I'm telling you, if you're far left and we're far right, we have more in common than you think. We're not going to be able to live together. Our values are different. And we just like the Chinese. I see eye to eye a lot with the Chinese. They're nationalists. I'm a nationalist, but we're not the same. And as long as we live separately, I'm okay. That's many times how I look at the far left. because our number one problem, you're not my number one enemy, and I'm not your number one enemy. You may think so, just like the dumb MAGA people think that their number one enemy are the liberals. They're not. Look at these Fox News type of programs. These people suck. So anyway, this goes again. Alyssa, so here we go about this. So her family was offered millions of dollars to represent them at the 2022 Olympics. Where is that? Where is the facts on that? Because it's very strange. If you were involved as a Chinese person in Tiananmen, I want to emphasize this now because a lot of people don't get this. There's a reason why I am allowed in many ways to speak more negatively about China. I'm not saying they like me, saying the word gook and chink, and usually the audience is, meaning my videos are not being displayed in China for many reasons, and part of it is they don't have access to YouTube, this and that. But there's another reason. If you are Chinese ethnicity, it doesn't matter where you are in the world. There's a pro and a con. Let me make sure we have this here so we can understand. We're going to go, because these people, and I'm speaking about MAGA people. There's a lot of retarded MAGA people. If you're ethnically Chinese, there's a pro and a con. The pro is you'll always be welcome home to your homeland in China. The Chinese government will always look upon you. It's very much with Israel and the Jews. It's a very similar concept. The bad side is you have a sense of loyalty, or you should, to the Chinese people, the Chinese country, and the Chinese government. And they have a higher standard for you with loyalty. I'm in a boat where the downside is I'm never going to be Chinese. They'll never, it's okay. I mean, I'm fine. I would rather go home to my own white country, but I'm never. So if you're a white guy and you think you're going to move to China and you're going to make it your home, never going to happen. The positive is the Chinese government has a much lower standard for you because there's not an expectation of loyalty. So if you so two people overseas, one is a Chinese person and one's a white guy, and the Chinese person says, "Fuck you, China's horrible, Chinese government's horrible," boom, boom, boom. And the white guy says the same thing. The Chinese person is going to be in a lot more trouble than I am. Why? Because the Chinese government looks upon me as a foreigner and whatever. That's why. So I say again, when let's go back to what they just said about the Chinese government offering Elisa Liu money to do it. If you're a Chinese person and you were involved in the Tiananmen Square, you're looked upon as a traitor. I mean, for the Chinese government to say, all right, you're living in America, you got some mixed daughters in America, you're pro-American, but here's some money. Could you represent China? Where Eileen Gook is a very different story. Yes, her mom left China. Yes, her mom wanted a white man, but her relations with the Chinese people, the Chinese government, are still positive. But if you're involved in Tiananmen Square, to say it's a black mark is an understatement. So I say again, if there is evidence or proof that the Chinese government has offered money for Elisa Liu to represent them in the Olympics, then I'm simply wrong and I will correct myself. Unless I see evidence, though, based upon my knowledge in China, it's a complete lie. The Chinese government is not going to offer that. And like I said, let me go to this here, because again, this is our MAGA news. So this is Clay Travis. Hi, Clay. I've written to him. Now, he does have 1 million followers, and I get it. Some of these people may not know about me. But anyway, he's saying that they're offering let me make sure everyone can see this. Okay. They're offering millions of dollars. Now she's an American-born daughter, and they just think this is just dandy. This is just America, man.
Clay Travis, Outkick founder. Clay, I just find that the contrast here really stark. Eileen Gu has reportedly accepted millions.
So again, what these people are, I don't even know who this woman is on Fox, but go fuck yourself about talking to us about patriotism and loyalty. You don't have patriotism and you don't have loyalty to the American citizens. I don't care about Eileen Gu. I don't. So let me just push this down so we know. I don't have a problem with Eileen Gu. I think her American citizenship should be revoked. But again, it's like the Chinese government sometimes with me. It's like when they deal with foreigners. I would just politely revoke Eileen Gu's citizenship. And would I allow her to stay in America on a permanent visa or a long-term visa? Perhaps. I don't know. So I don't know whether I would deport her back to China or allow her to stay in America. But her citizenship's gone. That's for sure. To include her mother, they're not American citizenships. That's number one. But the point being is these Fox News want to talk about loyalty and paid. What about American military veterans, you piece of shit, Fox News? Where are you helping out American? So Eileen Gook and this other girl, Elisa Leo, who should also not have an American citizenship, along with her weird father. This is the guy who did 5 kids through surrogates with all white women, who came to America with nothing, and now he's filthy rich. And now he was involved in Tiananmen Square, but now they're saying the Chinese government wants to give him money to the weird story, people. And if you think that's an American story, well, then go fuck yourself, because then why are you emphasizing this gook called Elisa Leo, and you don't care about military veterans? Our priorities are fucked, and we're waiting for the final video on the fall of the Roman Empire. This relates. Our priorities are we don't know what our priorities are.
Millions of dollars from the Chinese government. She says she has no opinion on Jimmy Lai's incarceration or on the Uyghur situation, terrible situation in China, even though she's an international relations major at Stanford. Your thoughts?
I think you laid it out perfectly, Martha. I was watching last night. My wife was super.
I think Eileen Gook is pretty funny, because you know what I like? She's rubbing it in the face of America. You know, America, you want to be globalist. You want to do like these Fox News. They're taking money from China, meaning you can't get your cake and eat it, people. You know, Americans, you want to buy your cheap Chinese goods. You want to have Boeing enterprises in China. We're all globalists like Fox News. Fox News are global. Well, then this is what you get. This is what you get. And you got Eileen Gook, who's basically a prostitute. She's just a smart prostitute. And she's outmaneuvering the dumb Americans. Why? Because she's using our globalist system to her nature. I think she's smart. Now, if we had a nationalist government, this would never fly. So it's kind of funny. In some ways, I kind of like Eileen Gook, who she's really showing how fucking retarded Americans are. And she's like, thanks, America, for the college, for the freedom, for everything. Thanks for the citizenship. I'm going to go represent China. Go fuck yourself. Well, that's the same thing our corporations are doing. You know, where our corporations are like, sorry, dude, we're going to have to shut down the factory. All you people are going to have to get laid off. And we're going to open up a new factory in China. But why would you do that? They're communist. Yeah, but we're Americans. Well, all we care about is money, so we don't give a fuck about you. But what about patriotism and loyalty? We only have patriotism and loyalty to our shareholders, and all our shareholders care about is money. Well, that's what Eileen Gook's doing. I mean, she's showing you in your face, this is our American values. We don't have any values. It's all about money. And when people say, yes, but we should have patriotism or loyalty, well, why don't you start out with military veterans, you piece of shit, Fox News? I mean, why wouldn't you not start out with showing the American public that you back military veterans? That would be my suggestion.
Excited to watch the women's figure skating gold medal event, and I didn't know much about Elisa Liu, who you just laid out that story. I think it's the best story of the Olympics. Her dad, Arthur, 1989, stands up against the Chinese Communist government. There are also reports, Martha, that she made the exact opposite choice of what Eileen Gu did, that China, when they found out she was really good at figure skating, offered her tons of money to ski for them, to figure skate for them, and she refused to do it because she...
Interesting. I would like to see that. I've still not seen any proof on that. Let me see that.
Wanted to represent the United States, and now Eileen Gu is upset because people are being critical of her online. I think that's very fair. She took millions of dollars. To your point, she's super smart. She goes to Stanford. She made nearly a perfect score on the SAT, and she claims she doesn't know enough to have an opinion.
Yeah, well, then I'm looking at these two people. Then why are you buying made in China products? That money is not just going to go to the Chinese company. That money gets funneled back to the Chinese government. So wouldn't it be a sense of lead by example if America says, we are going to boycott Chinese goods? This idea has never gone over someone's head. I mean, they're preaching loyalty. So the point is, I'm not defending Eileen Gook. She should never become American citizenship to begin with. But what I'm trying to do is, I don't like these Fox News and these politicians getting on their high horse and saying, oh, Eileen Goop's a traitor and we need to have more patriotism in America. Yeah, well, lead by example, asshole. Why don't we start taking care of military veterans and let's decouple from China then? Just decouple.
Opinion on the Uyghurs, or to have an opinion on China imprisoning people like Jimmy Lai in Hong Kong. She's lying, and I think she deserves the criticism. More importantly, though, I think Alyssa Liu deserves all the praise. Two different choices to make.
Okay, this is enough. What I want to do for this one, though, is let's go and get going with this this Roman Empire, because there's a video here that I thought is really good. Now, what we went with this Eileen Goop thing is, it's important because we're trying to figure out what's loyal, or she should come there, and that they should have never become American citizens to begin with. But even MAGA people would think that's racist. Again, I salute Donald Trump. When he came along, he did educate the people on these people called rhinos. He's like, hey, these Republicans in name only, they're not our friend. He switched the party. Guess what? It's going to keep happening, because most of these MAGA people, they're not nationalists. But I want to emphasize that part of the fall of the Roman Empire is we lost our sense of what it means to be a Roman. Does that not sound familiar today? What does it mean to be an American? I don't know what it means anymore. Everyone's an American now. I don't feel a bond with you just because you say, hey, David, look at my passport. I'm an American citizen. I mean, isn't everyone these days? And with these anchor babies, that's one of the issues with the Roman Empire. Let's go on another thing here. Let's go. I think this is a pretty good.
Aurelius, which is 180 AD. They're called the Five Good Emperors. This is very often referred to as the Pax Romana.
Okay. This is a pretty good episode. This is from Sean Ryan. Oh, by the way, Sean Ryan, I've reached out to you many times. It would be nice if you could just repost. You don't have to have me on as a guest. Just repost and say, hey, man, I'm going to try to get this to a congressman or senator. But thanks for the military support, Ryan, or for fucking Sean. But anyway, let's look at this. It's pretty interesting. This is about the fall of the Roman Empire.
The Roman peace. The thing that Aurelius does different, and at times you have to feel for him as well, is those other four didn't have natural born sons. Aurelius does. He has this son Commodus. And he knows, though he's worked with Commodus, he's still not really qualified to be.
I'm going to fast forward a little bit because I want to get to the key part when he talks about the military, because we're going to take it into another step. But what he talks about the military, you tell me this is exactly what I've been talking about with our government, FBI, CIA, military. It's down to the line.
Be the next emperor, but emperor. And Gibbon calls this the real downslide of the empire. There's a quote from Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire. I'm paraphrasing here. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it's that Rome goes from a society of marble to one of steel and rust. That basically it's starting to disintegrate. So it's like a 300-year downslide, though. But it is a real process.
Yeah, Shane, like I said, these people know about me. Even like the deputy director in the FBI. You're telling me the deputy director, Dan Bond, they know about me. So the point is, before we talk about traitors and loyalties and why don't we start looking at military veterans, or even in my case, I'm telling you, one of the main reasons the American government does not want my case to go public, it is a really bad story. Because what they do is, and we're going to go on here, what this person says, what I'm saying it, they want to get, I'm not going to compare myself to a Pat Tillman. He's a very interesting person. I consider him a patriot. But when you look at my background, similar you could say about Pat Tillman, it's American born, whatever, West Point, this and that. How did I change? And then when I say the major problem in the world is what? Our own globalist government, it's not a good story. It's not a good story at all. And it's a cover up. We all know it. Let's keep going with this, though, because I'm telling you, when he talks about the military, this is spot on. This is exactly what I've said.
You can look at, because the next emperor after him really changes the way the empire functions.
After Aurelius.
After Commodus.
Commodus.
Commodus dies in.
So again, Sean Ryan knows about me. I had emails with his administrative people. And I'm saying, Sean, if you don't want to have me on your show because you feel it, that's fine. Do a 30-second snippet and call it out. Say, hey, can we get a congressman to look at this or something? But you Where is the military camaraderie? Wait until what Sean says about what he thinks about the military. There's a lot I think we agree with.
192, and
so it started with Marcus Aurelius.
Well, Marcus Aurelius was seen as a good emperor. His son Commodus, who he names to be the next emperor, is seen to not be such a great emperor.
So that was the spark.
It was the spark, and Commodus is emperor. The last year of his rule, he dies in 192, is what's called the year of 5 emperors. And there's the emperor right after him named Pertinax. The Praetorian Guard actually auctions the empire to him.
We're talking about the Praetorian Guard. And again, we're not the whole episode's about 2 hours. I actually recommend it. But he talks about, which is true, the Praetorian Guard would be something, he uses the term, and I would agree. It's like the CIA, the FBI, the special operation having a baby. Those are the deep state national security folks, and they control it. And watch what he talks about them. It's pretty interesting.
So he pays a certain price and he gets to be emperor. And after around 80 days, they kill him. And they say, hey, the empire's for sale again. Who wants to be the next emperor?
Who's they?
The Praetorian Guard, because they had become the power behind the throne. And they're responsible for killing somewhere around 17 different emperors that we know of. You know, if they weren't happy, they might kill the emperor. And this happens on a number of occasions.
So was this like a shadow government?
It's like a shadow government in a lot of ways.
Did the citizens know about it?
For the most part, they would have known. The person in charge of the Praetorian Guard is the guy called the Praetorian Prefect. And he would have been seen as kind of the most powerful man in Rome because they were responsible for protecting the emperor, but they also made and unmade emperors. So in this year of 5 emperors, you have Pertinax being the first to buy the empire. Then there's another named Didius Julianus that buys the empire. And then the last one that comes in that year is a military commander named Septimius Severus. And he comes in with his legions and actually conquers Rome. And the thing that he changes is he enlarges the Roman army. He's going to remove all the Praetorian Guardsmen and put only his loyal men in the Praetorian Guard. So he's changing the guard. And he's also going to double the pay of the legions. And that's something that for the next 200 years, emperors after him are going to follow, is they're going to start doubling, tripling, quadrupling the pay of the legions.
So think about Donald Trump. If you're a MAGA person, I don't even like to use the word MAGA anymore. You're a nationalist. Again, I think a lot of the MAGA people are fake. But did you really want Trump to go in there and expand the government? Now, he is closing down parts of the government. When it comes to the national security state, what did he do to the military? He went from, I think, $1 trillion budget to 1.5 trillion. He is more pro-military, especially in an offensive stance, than many of us would have predicted. He's on the warpath. We know we're going to get into some type of war with Iran.
And that's something that's going to start fueling inflation. There's other things fueling inflation, but that's one of the key things fueling inflations. And when someone became emperor, they would give a gift to the legions. That's called a donative. It comes from the Latin word to give. So they would give a bigger donative, and they would also double, triple, quadruple the pay. So by the time you get to 284 AD, they're at 15,000% inflation. Their silver coin that was 95% pure in the first century, like those coins I gave you those are bronze coins because they're 5% pure by the late 270s. So the money is worth almost nothing.
Holy shit.
So his death opens the door to this new pattern of how emperors are made. Now he's not the first of what are called the Baric emperors. It's going to be a guy named Maximinus Thrax. But Baric emperors meaning military barracks. These basically guys that they weren't politicians. They hadn't been through Roman office. They just have an army, a lot of steel, and a lot of power. And that is basically how the 3rd century is going to really start compounding this collapse.
So that's a bad thing.
That's a bad thing.
Man, that's... I would think it's a good thing.
Well, it's because what ends up happening is power starts to centralize more and more and more.
I'll tell you why I think it would be, in my opinion, why it's a good thing is I've always thought this. I thought it would be good to have somebody that's fought for the country running the country.
I don't disagree with you.
Now you get these fucking scumbags that, They just show
Not
up.
much else you can say about that.
But anyways.
Well, no, I don't.
But that was
disagree with
bad
you.
in Rome.
It's bad because that goes back to the military reforms I talked about earlier. Because what ends up happening is their loyalty is just to that general. And it's not to Rome as a whole. So it ends up creating these fractures within how the society actually functions.
A transactional military.
Correct.
We're going over this later in the outline. But
yeah.
I think we're seeing that right now. I mean, I think we're seeing a transactional military right now. How would you describe a transactional military?
They're in it for, the pay, and they're in it for the power, right?
Okay, so they're going to talk about a little more. It's a good episode. How many times have I said this about people in the government? It is about a paycheck and a pension. It's almost impossible now for anyone to think my story is not well known now in the government. It's impossible. They don't care. Whether it's the FBI or the CIA or the military, even you go to West Point, they are not serving for duty on our country. And that's what I'm saying. If someone looked at me and said, David, I'm not going to thank you for your service. In fact, I think American people need to start changing their mind. Why are we thanking military veterans for their service? What are we doing? Like, we're about to go on war with Iran. Is that going to bring back freedom in America? Is that going to bring back Christianity in America? Is that going to bring back European? It's not. Why are they doing this? Because they're working for the corporations who run over them. It's a paycheck and a pension. These people, I could say it, the FBI grifters, in some ways, they should have been fired. They should have been. When I came out there and I said, listen, I need help. I'm an American citizen. Government, why wouldn't they help me out? They weren't. They were told, because they wanted a paycheck and a pension, that the Republicans were using them to get Trump reelected. They were just following orders too. We don't have, I'm telling you, at the end of the day, most of the people in our government are not smart enough, are not hardworking enough, and are not risk-taking enough to get a real job in the private sector. They're in there because it's a cushy job. They're not doing this for duty on a country, not at all. And so we've been ingrained. And the point being is if you are going to thank military veterans for their service, then fucking thank us. Repose. You don't have to send me any money. But the amount of MAGA people that I think, the same dumb fucking liberals that say, we need to support illegal immigrants. And you say, okay, would you like to host an illegal immigrant in your house? No. It's the same thing like with MAGA. Like, I support military veterans. Hey, there's this guy, David Baumblatt. They know about even the common fucking piece of shit MAGA. Didn't you see this guy, David Baumblatt? He just said repost. Just repost. I don't know about him. It's so fake now. So I'm saying it's to the point now, if you're a real nationalist, I would start saying stop thanking military veterans for their service. I don't anymore. I mean, it's because I'm ingrained too to say thank you for your service, but no, fuck them. I don't know what they're serving. And especially the FBI and the CIA. Most of those fuckers never served in the military because the military is a rough life. The CIA and the FBI, it's a nice life. The money, the benefits, the power, the this and that. Like if I was going to make a career in the government, it was going to be the FBI. It's a nice life. They're not doing this for duty on our country. They're doing it because it was the best paycheck and pension that they can get. And I don't think people understand, because at the end of the day, how my story is still censored, how my story has not been acknowledged by anyone in the government, it is nothing less than a cover-up. We know this. And then when you think, but David, there's so many patriotic MAGA people that are going to help you. I think a lot of them are a piece of shit. I have to admit it. And I'm telling you, at the end of the day, when a civil war comes, there's people going to turn on other people. I mean, the country's going to break. We're going to keep going on here, but I cannot emphasize how correct this is. If you think these people in our government are doing this work for duty, honor, country, you're out of your mind. Out of your mind. They're doing it for a paycheck and a pension. That's the priority. Even Donald Trump, who went in there and he's like, hey, I just love, I'm telling you, even him and his rich kids are going to make a shitload of money along with his wife, Melania, and her shit movie. They're also going to make a ton of money off the White House. We've turned into a global oligarchy of corporations.
And if you look at the military changes a lot in the 2nd century, there had always been barbarian tribes that have fought in the Roman military. There's what's called the Roman auxiliary. And Caesar had his German guard that protected him. So there, to a certain extent, had always been barbarians coming in the military. And I guess to just handle that word barbarian, it comes from the Greek word, because Greeks would hear barbarians saying bar, 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 because they didn't understand it. They spoke Greek. So they would call them barbarians. So then in Latin, they use the word Barbary for beard. So they were these bearded guys is basically the thing, because Romans until the mid-2nd century didn't really have beards. The Emperor Hadrian, who was from Spain, was the first person to actually be an emperor and have a beard. It was good to shave your face in that period of time. So these bearded Germans were seen as barbarians. And when you look at how the military changes over the 3rd century, they start bringing more and more and more barbarians into the Roman legions. So they start to become less and less and less Roman. And by the time you get to the end of the 3rd century, Constantine's going to create a group called the Foederati, which are basically military but barbarians, and they don't have to follow.
We are going to see in our government, it's going to happen, or it's going to be a collapse, either one. But you are going to see a push in our militarized state. The same thing that Trump warned us on, like this police state. And again, I'm okay with ICE as they focus on foreign nationals, but I'm telling you, it's coming for you as a U.S. citizen. This FBI, the CIA, the military, they are going to get ramped up. If you think this American government is going to allow America to just collapse, you're crazy. They are going to go to guns, and those guns are going to be pointed on U.S. citizens. We're going to go into a total military state. It's going to happen. The trigger point is going to be economics. You've got to watch economics.
Follow Roman law, and they live on the borders. So you start to have this real disintegration on what is a Roman and what is the Roman army.
Fucking crazy,
right?
You're going so. I'm still at transactional military, and you're moving into immigration.
Well, because they work together.
What it sounds like is
they work together. They do.
Because I see in the way you just described a transactional military for money and for power. And what do we see right now? I'm a military guy. Mm-hmm. I have friends that are still in. This is what I hear. This is what I hear from a lot of people. I'm just waiting for retirement.
Wow.
I don't even believe in what we're doing anymore.
I cannot tell you how many people in the FBI, the older guys, were like, David, if you're going to leave the FBI, do it early. Don't get trapped like I am. Because a lot of these government people, once they get trapped in that pension, like they passed the 10-year mark, I cannot tell you. In the military, too, we have been brainwashed to think these people in our government, it's about it is not. I wanted nothing more to do with it. That's what I'm saying. How people even compare me to these FBI grifters, you're crazy. I quit. They got fired. They wanted to make careers in the government. They wanted to keep leeching off the American government, American taxpayers. And look at them. They don't even give a fuck about helping a U.S. citizen here report government corruption. But I wanted nothing more to do with it. It was fine. I even when I left the FBI, I tried to be as polite as possible. I said, thank you very much for this opportunity. They asked me why was I leaving? And I just said, because at the time I really didn't know what I wanted to do, but I just said, I want to go in the private sector and I just want to figure it out. But thank you very much. They wouldn't get it. No one's going to understand this. Even when I left the military, I wrote my letter to Senator Chuck Grassley and whatever, and I left. But I'm telling you, these people, what he's saying, it is so true. This is this corporate globalist state in America, everything what I've learned in military, I was ranked number 2 at West Point in leadership. I did more accomplishments in the FBI in 3 years than most agents will do an entire career. And I'm telling you, everything that I've learned in leadership points to one direction. This American empire will collapse, which is why I left in 2010. Keep it up. I'm telling you, my videos are going to age like fine wine. And how I was censored on here, where a military veteran is not even allowed to have a voice. And it just shows again why this system is not working anymore. It's going to get worse.
Just waiting for retirement.
Wow.
Because I have so many years in, just waiting for retirement. And then on the other side, you have the flag officers who will do anything, lie to anybody, fuck anybody over,
Okay, so I have to say this about West Point because my West Point classmates are coming up on 1-star generals. Here's the view on West Point. Most people don't know. And again, I'm very intimate with West Point. I'm the 12th person in the history of America. This is, again, we have MAGA people that are accusing me of lying about this story, but they have no evidence. Of course it is. It's all recorded. I'm the 12th person in the history of America to earn what's called a dual commission. It's very odd, and it is true. Even if you tell this story to many West Pointers, they might not believe you. Because even when I was at West Point, most people don't know. Anyway, I was commissioned through Army ROTC, and I was commissioned through West Point. Here's the truth. The majority of West Pointers who make a career in the Army are not the best, on average. On average, the higher level creme de la creme West Pointers leave the military. That was me. We have a 5-year military commitment, and I said, I am not spending one day past 5 years. I knew it was fucked up. I thought the FBI would be better, and in some ways it is, meaning it's more, you could say, prestigious. But in terms of the incompetence, the corruption, the immorality, in some ways it's even worse. But anyway, I left. So the majority of the West Pointers who make a career in the military are not the best West Pointers. That's number one. And the West Pointers know what I'm talking about. Number two, in order to make general in the military, it's not about leadership. It is about followership. Anyone in the military knows what I'm saying is true. If you think look at these Petraeus or McChrystal, these guys who led the Afghanistan war. I mean, you're a civil, assuming you're a civilian. How did we do? If you're a civilian and you really looked at all the taxpayer money you spent on these wars in Iraq, Afghanistan, and then look what we accomplished, what grade would you give the generals? I can tell you from West Point how high the standards are, it would be an F, a total F. So one, the best and the brightest of West Point leave. Majority leave. The rest stay to make a career. Two, the ones who make general, the secret formula is not leadership, it's followership. And I wrote this in my book too when I was with the FBI. I mean, if you try to do something above and beyond, risky, this is what the Hollywood movies want. It's not. Because if you're in the government, as long as you do the minimum standards, you're going to get promoted. But if you try to do something risky that you think could be better, now in the civilian world, you do it. Why? Because you want more money. I mean, it's part of motivation, incentive. But in the government, you're going to ruffle feathers. It's just not for you. And I know, and this is why a guy named Pat Tillman, I know exactly what he was talking about. He went, while he was still in the military, he went back and talked to his football coach, and he already told him, he's like, Coach, I'm getting out of the Army. Once my 4-year commitment is over, I'm done with this. The government really doesn't want to have very high testosterone, very intelligent, very questioning people. Everything that you learn about leadership, they really don't want. The only time they really want leaders if it is truly about war. Think about General Patton. Like these wars now are about money making. I mean, we lost Afghanistan, we lost Iraq. Who cares? It's just money making for the military industrial complex. But if it's truly a war, they want people like General Patton to go in there and kick ass. Otherwise, what they really want is they want a yes man in the military. Even in the CIA and the FBI, they really want yes men. And so the part is not only do you have the best and the brightest in the private sector, they're really not in the government, but even the people in the government that they get promoted, it's more based on followership than leadership. And what happens when this happens? Decades and decades and decades of followership, the best lead. Because when you get these shitbags now with generals or the directors of the FBI and the CIA, then they have more power to dictate how the agency should be run. So what did I say? When you have a society that's run by women and weak men, that's our government, it falls. And that's what happens. You have more and more. I mean, look at a guy like Kash Patel, Director Hoover. I actually look differently on Director Hoover. I'm telling you, I know there's some controversial stories, but I could tell you, Director Hoover, this guy, this Mr. Indian Kash Patel couldn't fucking hold a candle with Director Hoover. Same thing with our generals today. If General Patton was alive today, what do you think he would say about our American generals now? Not very good. So what do I keep saying? It's bad. And now it sounds like I'm a complainer, but what did I do? Leadership 101. If you don't like it, just shut your mouth and leave. I left America in 2010. I never complained. I never badmouthed the FBI. And when I left America, I was very happy. I said I was born and raised in America. The same thing when I left the FBI, but it's not going to work, and I left. I just want to be left alone. This piece of shit government and these corporations, they will fucking destroy your life. And when you finally go, and this is where, I don't want to do a tangent, but this is where people are absolutely wrong with Edward Snowden. You say what you want about them, but the whistleblower system in our America is completely fucking broken. It's completely broken. And until it's fixed, stop pointing your finger at Edward Snowden, because Edward Snowden probably has more fucking courage than 99% of American men. Most American men will just do what they're told for survival. But I'm just a great example of our American system in terms of what is completely broken. But I had no problem with America. You know, maybe I was wrong when I left. Maybe it's not going to go to civil war. Maybe it's going to do, but I don't want to be part of the system anymore. My morals and values are not aligned, and I just want to leave. That's it. No problems. I was never a disgruntled employee. I wasn't against America at all. But the values that I learned called duty, honor, country are not aligned to what America has become. We have become a globalist corporation. We don't have any values in it. It's all about the money. Our biggest fear right now is being called a racist. That's our biggest fear now, the Americans. Just don't be called a racist. And I wanted to be left alone. I really don't miss America that much. This is not trying to be condescending, but I wanted to be left alone overseas. That was it. But this piece of shit FBI and these corporations, they don't fucking want it. They will destroy you. Then I've reached out to these MAGA people, and what have they done? They preach all the time about patriotism. Either way, I could go on and on. I am telling you, these videos are going to age like fine wine. Why? Because sooner or later, you are going to see some type of collapse, revolution, and civil war happening in America. I keep saying you're going to see things that you've never seen before. You're going to keep seeing it. This system is falling.
Anything they possibly can just to get that next star.
Wow.
And we've covered that time and time and time and time again on the show. These fucking generals and admirals that will do anything they can to get that next star, which is transactional.
Mm-hmm.
And it works for them.
Yeah.
I mean, look, our leaders are shit.
Yeah.
So they have been for quite a while. But
you could say that about the Roman military as well.
Well, that's I'm drawing a parallel here.
Yeah, you could say that about the Roman military as well, because if you look at the 3rd century, which to me is the most pivotal time in history, and nobody seems to talk about it. They talk about the 5th century, the fall, and the 1st century, the end of the Republic. But they ignore the 3rd century, which to me is the most vital time period. And if you look at that, you do have that more transactional type of military, where if you pay me more, hey, I'm your guy. You pay me less, or your money's worth less, well, I'm not your guy. Have you ever heard the phrase worth your salt?
No.
So the phrase worth your salt, meaning you have value. One of the other things that military commanders did is they paid their men in a certain amount of salt, because salt had a lot of value. It could add flavor to.
So anyway, I want to change it to this part, because we're seeing it. It is. We have turned into what's called government mercenaries. I don't have a problem with mercenaries. They're neutral. You don't thank mercenaries for their service, though. Mercenaries do their job for money. They don't do it for duty, honor, country. If you want to be a mercenary, that's fine. We don't shake their hand and say, thank you for your service. That's who we have. And this is what America, when I think of American military now, this is what I think of right here, this video.
Excuse me, General, sir, with all due respect to you, but what the fuck is going on? Excuse me, General, but what about the fucking money? A fucking money. A fucking money.
Bullshit, it's over.
I want my fucking money! I want my fucking money! Fucking money! Fucking money! Fucking money! I'm not a soldier, Major. The day we took hostages, we became mercenaries. And mercenaries get paid. I want my fucking money! Excuse me, General, but what about the fucking money? A fucking money.
So interesting on that. That seems to be a lot of America. So with that, I want to go to something else that's happening. We all know it. There's probably going to be either a minor war with Iran, if you could say that, or it could be big. Now, when I think of the word traitor, I don't immediately go to Eileen Gook or with the gooky girls. Again, just revoke their American citizenship. And I literally wish them the best of luck. But when I think, because they're not me, I don't, it's like the Chinese. I don't feel like there's a loyalty between the Chinese. I have nothing against the Chinese. But when I think of the word traitor, this is kind of what I think of the word traitor. Let's look at this piece of shit right here.
Expected to even pay 1 penny to rebuild Gaza at this point?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I'll tell you, if anything, there ought to be reparations to Israel for the extraordinary fight that they have had to conduct to get their hostages back, 252, including many Americans.
Who is that piece of shit? Let's keep going on this.
Millions of Epstein files still classified. Why do you think that is?
I have no idea. I haven't kept up with that. I've never met the man. I don't know him.
You haven't kept up with the Epstein disclosure?
I mean, only from a distance.
I still think it's amazing. In my time in the FBI, the Epstein files, I cannot think of anything, probably in the history of America, that is at one time such a public source now and so reeking. I mean, I'm past pedophilia now, meaning that stuff is national security, both domestic and international. How that is not a priority for the American government only tells me one thing: we are compromised, to include Donald Trump. I just don't know if the American public, this is not something normal. This is like once in a lifetime event of having so much intelligence of national security. So we're not talking just criminal nature of pedophilia. We're talking national security information in terms of strategic influence, intelligence, espionage, you name it, that if I was the president, I would be like, the FBI, attack it like wild dogs. There's something compromised going on. I think any American citizen with common sense knows it. These are the people that I think are traitors.
I'm 6,000 miles away from D.C. these days. I'm pretty sure that there's so much going on.
The current president of Israel, current president, who I know you know, President Herzog,
knowing very well,
apparently was at Pedo Island. That's what it says in the disclosures. And of course, we know that the former prime minister, Ehud Barak, was living on and off at Epstein's house. So still living high-level Israeli officials are directly implicated in Epstein's life, if not his crime. So I would think that you'd be following this.
Only I was not aware that there was any connection with President Herzog. I would be surprised to hear that. And knew there was about the former prime minister, who apparently had a lot of dealings with Epstein.
Business dealings. And by the way, I'm not alleging anything, but I mean, it's in the Epstein files. And I don't know that I've heard the current president of Israel respond to it, but he is listed as a visitor to Pedo Island. So that's kind of a big deal. I wonder, considering there are so many suggestions in the files, as I'm sure you know, of sexual abuse, and given that Jeffrey Epstein was a convicted sex offender, I wonder why the administration you work for would be holding millions of files, which I believe belong to the public.
Remember Donald Trump saying, like, why are we still talking about Jeffrey Epstein and let's move on? I don't know. It's as shocking as Director Wray, the former director. These guys are all piece of shit, who doesn't look at the southern border that was open as a national security threat. I mean, you had, I mean, again, I know some of these FBI directors, the older in the FBI, the better relationships I have. The new people are weird, but anyone with common sense knows that the southern border being open is a national security threat to America. It's common sense as can be. Second, these Epstein files, are you kidding me? Not a big deal. Let's move on. This is Donald Trump. That's weird. Weird is an understatement.
Hidden for, quote, national security reasons. What would those national security reasons be, do you think?
Honestly, I think you've probably got more access to the White House sometimes than I do. You should ask them.
Well, but you're the government official representing that White House.
In Israel. And I represent the U.S. in Israel to the Israeli government from the U.S. government. But honestly, nobody has presented that to us.
Well, now that you know that
we have a pretty dynamic situation here. I don't know if you know that or not, but there's a lot going on in this part of the world. And frankly, that has not been top line item.
But you're surprised to hear that the current president of Israel, whom you know, is listed as a visitor to Pedo Island.
Had never heard that. Never heard it even in the Israeli press.
Are you going to ask him next time you see him?
I'll be happy to. Talk to him almost every week.
I guess what I'm asking is not simply as a representative of my government or a high U.S. official, but just as like a man and a father and a Christian. How could you resist saying, like, were you on Pedo Island with Jeffrey Epstein?
Well, if I'm not aware of it. And secondly, There are a lot of things that go on in the world. I don't question every single person about every single thing that may be alleged about.
Country.
I understand all that, but this is the first I've ever heard of this. So why do you expect me to have knowledge of something like that?
Well, because you attacked me personally for suggesting that Jeffrey Epstein had ties to Mossad, and you said that.
You think he does?
Well, it's very clear he does from the files.
You think he does? Where do you get that?
Well, the fact that he was in.
Well, what I'm trying to say is, why don't we do an investigation? Meaning, even this guy Hucklebee's like, well, are you sure? Well, let's do an investigation about. That's what I would do. I mean, if I was the president of the United States, I would look to the FBI director and say, holy moly, this thing is a treasure trove. But some of that information is also going to compromise the Trump administration. It's just common sense. But now Hucklebee's like, well, how do you know? Well, let's get the FBI investigating it. Wouldn't that be a first move?
Living high.
Let's go to this one.
You don't understand this is a threat to.
So this guy's another piece of shit. This would be so we're on the we're going to wrap this up. This will be wrapped up quickly, and everything will come together.
To the world, if you don't understand this is a threat to Israel,
and then they flattened Gaza.
Just flatten it. We flattened Berlin. We flattened Tokyo. Were we wrong to drop an atomic bomb to end the Japanese reign of terror? Were we? So my view, if I were Israel, I would have probably done it the same way. Without military victory, there is no hope of breaking radicalism.
Well, this guy, he wants to go to war.
I'm totally unable to process what you're trying to get at. But here's the point.
It would be a lot of places that are now countries.
But this particular area that we're talking about now, Israel, is a land that God gave through Abraham to a people that he chose. It was a people, a place, and a purpose. We can look at it that way. Christian Zionism, I want to go back because that's where we started.
I'm not going to let you off on this because you have said it 3 times that God gave this land to this people. And so it is entirely fair for me with respect to ask, what land are you talking about? Because I just read Genesis 15, as I have many times. Mm-hmm. And that land, I think it says, from the Nile to the Euphrates, which is, once again, basically the entire Middle East. So God gave that land to his people, the Jews, or he didn't. You're saying he did. What does that mean? Does Israel have the right to that land? Because you're appealing to Genesis. Yeah. You're saying that's the original deed.
It would be fine if they took it all. The entirety of the world, they're about.
He was going on to the Jews. Let's do a couple more.
At the United States is very revealing.
Why is it revealing?
Because your priorities are very clear.
No.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And as an American, permit me a moment of outrage. Because I said many civilians have been killed. Yeah. And you said, right in the middle of your elaborate defense of the IDF's killing of civilians, including children, you said they do a better job than the United States does. That's my country and my government.
It's my of the world. There are about 16 million Jews total.
Okay.
They have connection to this land.
Do they? If Bibi's family, we know they lived in Eastern Europe. There's no evidence they ever lived here. He's not religious.
But
in what sense?
How do we know that?
Do you have his family tree? No, we don't.
Do you?
He doesn't. So no one does. That's the point. So how do we know that he has any connection to this land at all?
And if there has been a practice of Judaism?
He doesn't practice Judaism in any rigorous way. His ancestors didn't live here. They didn't speak the language, and there's no evidence they ever lived here. So on what basis does he have a right to be here?
Very much speaks the language. His family has fought for the land.
You're dodging a very obvious question, which is, where does this right come from?
Okay, we're going to do one more video. Before I do, let me wrap it up. We talked about the fall of the Roman Empire, the American Empire, and there's many facets that we looked at. I wanted to put this all together and look at 3 facets. 1, Rome lost its identity. They did not understand, or there was conflict of what it meant to be a Roman citizen. Are you kidding me? That's exactly what we are in America. Who's an American now? I've said my best try is faith, Christianity, family, European, and freedom. Let's start with freedom of speech. Maybe those 3, something. But when we look at, remember we use the examples of the Ellen Gook and Elisa Leo and and one's a traitor and the other's American. I look at them both as they're, give them Chinese passports both. But we have to start getting into that. That's why America is going to split. At 350 million, we have passed the Rubicon. It's going to happen. We're going to split. But one of the problems is, just like Rome and just like America, we have to understand identity. How many times people have said, stay away from identity politics? They're a communist. Identity politics. I write this in my book. It's natural. You're a man, you're a woman, you're a Christian, you're that, you're white, you're this, you're that. That's part of who we are. And part of it also race and many things. But we have forgotten what is the identity of an American. Go back 200 years ago in America, probably a lot easier. Now, good luck. So that's one of the things. We just use that one thing about the gookies as a good example. The second thing, our military. Our military, to include our larger part of the military, the CIA and the FBI, if you think they're in there for this thing called duty, honor, country. That's the motto of West Point. That's what we learned. That's what I told my friend why I'm leaving America in 2010. What they taught about duty, honor, country, we have turned into a globalist corporation. Our government is a globalist corporation. It is all about the money, to include our military. And it is going to be our downfall. We don't really have principles except money. That's really what it is. So we're seeing that in our military. Now we're looking also, just like the Roman Empire, the military went degraded. Also, the extended wars that we're going to touch in with the last and final thing. But the military has turned into a mercenary military. What have I said since I've gotten here? Our government, our military are a bunch of government mercenaries. These people in the FBI and the CIA are not doing it for duty. It's a paycheck and a pension. Now we get into traitors. Because this word is thrown around so much in America. It's going to be used more and more, similar like the word racist. So the word racist has been thrown around for what, 20 years now? It doesn't mean anything anymore. Even ask people like, you're a racist, define it. It's a joke. Why? Because it's usually thrown out a white man. And who's the least racist people in the world? White men. Don't believe me? Then why does everyone want to come to a white country? What is a less racist country than white countries? It ain't China, that's for sure. So this word racist, it's become diluted. Now you're going to start seeing more words come out, or more usage of the word traitor. Why? Because you're seeing the American empire start to fall. Because before everyone came to America, it was a land of milk and honey. But now, just like this girl Ellen Gook is starting to realize China's not too bad, meaning through globalism. And so now we're going to throw the word traitors, but no one knows what it is. Because even the MAGA people will say, I'm a patriot. Like, what does it mean to be a patriot? I don't wave the American flag. Well, I'm a military veteran. Could you repost? Could you help me report whistleblower government corruption? No, screw you. So we don't even know what traitor is. But when I think of a traitor, and this is textbook definition, you are betrayed by your own. You are betrayed by your inner circle. That's why I look at the Gookie Gook girls. I don't look at them as traitors. They should have never got American citizenship. And I would politely, and I emphasize the word politely, I would just politely revoke their citizenships and wish them the best of luck. But we saw in that video, we have a very, very strange, and strange is an underrated word, relationship with Israel. Now, I want you to know, when I argue about this Israeli thing, I argue it totally different. We're going to go on the final thing, traitors. Unless you're an expert on the Middle East, most people are an expert in China, or if you just want to argue, it's your free speech. I don't even get in that argument with Israel. Meaning what I do with my Israeli friends is, listen, you do whatever you got to do in the Middle East. But I don't feel like paying for it with American taxpayer money, and I don't feel like American soldiers dying for it. So, but you do what you ever do. I'm not arguing with you. Now, if they call you an anti-Semite or whatever, racism, whatever the thing is, because you're not willing to give money to Israel for them to do, then that's not called anti-Semitism. That's called extortion. It's called extortion. So I don't even get into these arguments. But if you understand, again, I've never said I was a biblical scholar or a scholar of the Torah. I admit right now you win and I lose. But if people go in there and say, no, David, you don't understand. It says in the Torah, this land belongs to us and they're terrorists. Okay, man, you do whatever you got to do, Israel. But once they say, well, give me money. No, I'm not interested in giving you money. Well, you need to send military to die for us. No. That's the only thing I have a problem. But when you see these American politicians, and you see it all the time, where it feels like it, and it's more than a feeling, it's factual because it's also your money, where it feels like, why is Israel more important than America, or even maybe an American military veteran? Now you get into that last leg of how the Roman Empire fell. And that is called two words. The first word is called corruption. And the second word is disloyalty. And we're falling apart from the inside. So there's many factors, but in this video, we want to focus on three factors. One factor is identity. We don't know, because I can tell you, if you go to Israel, their version of what it means to be an Israeli, the identity, is much more crystal clear than we communist Americans say, what's an American? I don't know what is an American anymore. Not good. Then we get to the second thing. Our military, like China, Russia, are you kidding me? Who do you think is going to start the next war? It's going to be America. We keep rolling and rolling. And are we doing this for your freedom, for your Christianity, for the European white people? No, it's all about money. Our military is transformed into a government mercenary organization. The same thing with the CIA and the FBI. That's also the fall. And then the second thing is, the final thing is that sense of loyalty anymore, the corruption inside. We don't know who we could trust anymore. We have all these influences. So when I use the word traitor, like I wrote in the book, I'm looking mostly, and I emphasize too on white people, like the white politicians, like even Barack Obama. I don't view him as a traitor. I just don't think Barack Obama should have ever been granted American citizenship to begin with. So I just don't look at them. I look at, so this guy, Lindsey Graham, and I guess Mike Huckabee, these guys are piece of shit traitors. They will put Israel and foreign nations above us in a heartbeat. That would be my definition of a traitor. But either way, if anyone disagrees with me, let's see how America goes. And if America sounds like it's stumbling, but it recovers, I would be happy to admit I'm wrong. Because again, I've already packed out. I'm packed out of America. I want to be left alone. But if I'm not, but since I left America since 2010, so it's 16 years now, how has America gone in 16 years? Well, if you're a Trump supporter, which technically I still support Trump, I can't think of another politician I'd support. The very fact that Trump got elected was because America is not doing very well. So if America, and I have absolutely no doubt, if America continues to go down the path of a declining empire, where we get to, then obviously something's not working, people. And I do believe history repeats. And do I believe that today America is an empire and we are in decline? And just like history repeats, many of what happened in the Roman Empire is happening in America. Absolutely. In fact, I'm going to end it with this last video here. And it's all about economics. Here's a little advice.
Today, gold is no longer about luxury. It is about survival. As inflation soars and the real collapses, ordinary families are watching their paychecks lose value almost overnight. So even the smallest pieces of gold are now being bought in panic, not for beauty, but for security. After last summer's Israel-Iran war, and with fears of more conflict ahead, the rush to turn cash into gold has only intensified. In a country where trust in the currency has collapsed, gold has become the one thing people still believe can hold their future together.
In Iran economy right now, gold has become more than a precious metal. It has become a refuge. A decade ago, 1 gram of 18-karat gold cost about $26, a small saving that ordinary families could afford. Now, that same gram sells for more than $110, while the minimum wage has dropped to around $80 a month. For many Iranian, cash is no longer safe. The riyal is in historic decline, and paychecks lose value before the month even ends. So people are buying gold immediately, not necklaces or luxury sets, but fractional coins, tiny pendants, even gold pins weighing less than a gram. Iranians say they can't bear watching their salary melt away, so the moment they get money, they convert it into gold, even if it's just a small piece. Gold also carries deep cultural importance in Iran. It's a traditional gift for women and children and a central part of weddings. But with prices surging, many families can no longer keep up. Some are renting gold jewelry for ceremonies, others are switching to silver, just to preserve the symbolism. Dealers in Tehran say this is now an economy of panic. People don't want to hold cash even for a day, because tomorrow everything will cost more.
Okay, the reason I want to do that last video is guess what? Just like the Roman coins became less and less silver, guess what's going to happen to the US dollar? In fact, I don't want to talk too much. We're going to end the video now, but the prediction is gold is going to have to increase to the price. Believe it or not, it's about 5,000 now, 50,000 US dollars per ounce if we're going to be rebalanced in the New World Order, in the New World economy. That's how much after Nixon took the US dollar off the gold standard. But just like Rome, you don't think this could happen in America where a panic is going to set in with the collapse of the US dollar and people are going to rush to gold? If so, why is gold increasing? Will it continue to increase? Absolutely, it will be. And what will be the initial, most important leg of the American empire falling? Economics. This is David Baumblatt from Terabinth Leadership. I appreciate your support. If you could click like and send this abroad or send this to other people, because the point is, if we are patriots, if you look to your fellow Americans, say they're, why wouldn't they support an American military veteran reporting government corruption? Why? Why is my story still being censored in so many platforms? Why is not one, when I think of the word traitor, why is not one congressman or senator answered me? Not one, even all the military veterans. Why isn't the FBI who's hiding? It should be the opposite. I should be the one hiding and the FBI should be in pursuit. It's the opposite. The FBI is hiding. Why? They don't want to answer. It is so corrupt that we have literally little children, little boys working in our government, literally because it's for a paycheck and a pension. We've lost all sense of what it means to be a man anymore. And so I'm telling you, as a man to a man, if you could press like and send this abroad, my story is about a public good. And when you report government corruption, just like the Epstein files, it helps out the public good. I'm not saying it's going to help out everyone, because those that are going to be convicted, it's going to be tough on them. But for the public good, that is why whistleblowers should be protected and government corruption should be reported. And why is my situation not doing it? Is it a cover-up? Are you kidding me? They know about this. It would be impossible now for the U.S. government not to know about me. But they choose to censor me, ignore me, and yet they want to talk about Elon Gook as being a traitor to our country. Are you kidding me? When you dismiss a military veteran, the traitorship starts from there. We know it. We are the Roman Empire, and we are in decline. David Baumblatt from Terabinth Leadership. I appreciate your support. Let's see where this goes. Until then, lead to victory.